Well, hello there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle and today we're gonna talk about some INTPs. You see them all over the screen. I picked out a lot of INTPs. You know what was actually really weird about this? I thought it would be really easy to get INTP characters in fiction, but for some reason it was like pulling teeth, which is ironic because INTPs are the kind of people who want to see characters of themselves and they want to talk about characters of themselves, and yet this is the list that we're left with. I feel like if we're gonna get more INTPs, we need to get them from books rather than shows, because from what I'm seeing, there are not that many INTPs like actually in shows and movies and whatnot. However, that being said, if you disagree with this typing, go ahead and check out my video up there, which explains why we may not agree. MBTI is quite complicated and your opinions will change. So therefore, anyone that's on here that maybe I didn't really personally type or I just trusted the internet, I will let you guys know who those are. But otherwise, you can check out that video to understand a little bit more about why people might not agree. If you want, you can check out that video up there to see why people don't necessarily always agree. But without further ado, let's rank these characters. First here we have Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland is a story that I grew up with. It was one of my favorites of all I want to call it a Disney princess movie, even though she's not necessarily a princess, and was it even Disney? I can't remember. Let's see. I would say though that she's interesting. I don't know if she's like that kind of character that I want to go out of my way to protect at all costs. Nor do I think she's an absolute god, but she's definitely interesting and I definitely enjoy her story. Then we have April. Now, before the comments go crazy, I don't actually know if April's an INTP. I honestly don't know what her type is because she's a very confusing character when you watch her. My thought would lean more towards someone who uses FI, but honestly guys, I've only seen like 6 episodes, so I can't really have a strong opinion. I mean, I've watched more than 6 episodes, but like concurrently, not that many. So I'm gonna say that she cracks me up when she is on screen. So I'd say she's interesting. I'm gonna put her in the question mark. I'm gonna put her in the question mark for now. We can come back. Then we have Arthur Weasley from Harry Potter, and I love Harry Potter. I love the dad. Is he like a character that I think that much about outside of watching the movies or reading the books? Absolutely not. I barely think about him, so I think he's gonna go in the meh. Because, I mean, yeah, he's kind of a stereotypical INTP. Is there much beyond that? Anything that I like sit thinking about for hours for any reason? Not really. Then we have Beetee from Hunger Games. He was in the second 2 movies. He was quite important to the storyline. And he is from District 1 or District 2. He's very good with electronics. He's pretty cool. He's like kind of your stereotypical INTP, except that he's not like, he doesn't do some of the stereotype INTP things because it's like it's a grim, dark kind of dystopian story. I don't know, is grimdark the right word? I don't know, but it's the word I used. Anyway, I would say that he is meh. I did think that his character was interesting and added important things to the plot, but I didn't really care too much about him, nor did I think that much about him. He was just a character who did his thing, and I more liked the female from his district than him. All right, now we have Chandler Bing. Chandler Bing is one of my favorite Friends characters. He's always been one of my favorites, except maybe Ross or Phoebe. I really love his character. For the longest time, I would have sweared on my deathbed that he was an ENTP. However, I've been thinking about it a lot. I chatted with one of my friends who we were both kind of like typing the Friends characters, trying to like figure out what each one was. And the only thing that really makes sense for Chandler now that I'm older and understand MBTI better is INTP. And he is absolutely someone I would protect at all costs. He is the sweetest thing. I mean, yeah, he's got a bite with his humor, but like when you really get down to it, he is so sweet and really cares for his friends. So if he was one of my friends, I would protect him at all costs. Next, we have Chidi Anagonye from The Good Place. For those of you who have seen any of my other recent videos, The Good Place is one of my favorite shows. I watched it, the most recent season, the finale, in October, and my god, is this just like a powerful piece of artwork that is hidden behind this kitschy, campy TV show. And Chidi Anagonye has one of the best characters in the entire show. The amount of growth that he has to go through to progress and make the story move forward. It is him. It is 90% him. Okay, well, it's like 50. Okay, it's like 30% him, 30% Eleanor, and then 30% Michael. Anyway, Chidi is the sweetest INTP ever. There are some really great episodes in the last season where you really get to see him as a kid and how he became the way that he was, and it just adds so much context and intrigue to his character. I don't know if I would call him a god, except you could say kind of that he's a god at the end of the season 4. However, I'm going to protect him at all costs, and I like him more than Chandler because he's so innocent. Like, he doesn't do anything which would make you want to hate him, and even if he does a decision that you don't like, you still want to love him and protect him because he's just that amazing. So, yes, we have to protect him at all costs. Then we have the character from How to Train Your Dragon. I have never seen How to Train Your Dragon, but from what I have seen of it, he seems like the kind of character that if I watched it, I would want to protect at all costs. And even though I haven't seen it, and I really want to put him in this category, I feel like based off my own understanding of myself, I would definitely protect him at all costs. Who knows? I may watch it and be like, Michelle, he definitely belongs in the meh category. Well, it's really like, meh. Who knows? Who knows what category he's gonna belong in right now? I feel like I would want to protect him at all costs. I don't know why, but I just have that feeling about him. Next, we have Edward Elric's dad from Full Metal Alchemist. I don't really know what his type is because the last time I watched Full Metal Alchemist, I was in middle school, so it's been like quite a long time. Yes, it was my favorite anime all through high school and middle school. Okay, I actually think the last time I watched it was just out of high school. I was probably like 18 the last time I saw it, but still, regardless, yes, I was that person at school who was in, like, every single day I wore the same red hoodie that had the Alchemist symbol on the front and Alchemist symbols on the sleeves, and I had Full Metal Alchemist shoes that were black with like the red insignia on it. I had a problem. I watched it so long ago, I can't tell you what any of the types of the characters are. However, I would say that he was definitely interesting, and definitely more interesting than Alice in Wonderland. I don't think he would be god-worthy, even like his role in general, I wouldn't say is god-worthy. Because absolute god, these are like the characters that will never leave your mind. So we'll talk about which characters those are once they come up. But right now, we have Hulk. Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner, you know what, I actually really like the Edward Norton Hulk movie, but I've never seen the one with, what's his name? The guy from, because here's the thing about Mark Ruffalo. I watched 13 Going on 30 as a high schooler, and Mark Ruffalo was like, you know, your little middle school, high school crush kind of situation. And then he became the Hulk, and you're like, this isn't right. You're not a guy with an anger problem. You're the sweetest little kindest person ever, and you can never be anything else. And it's not his fault. It's just, in my mind, he can be no one else but the boy from 13 Going on 30, who's just the sweetest human being in all the world. So I have to say I'm quite confused about how I feel about Hulk. I don't know how I feel about Hulk. It's in my mind all over the place, so we're gonna continue on and just leave it at that. Then we have Sinclair from The 100. The 100 is one of those sci-fi shows that I know isn't that great. Like, I know the acting is not very good, and there are a lot of things people could complain about from that show. But the thing is, that show gets me the morally gray decisions that these characters have to make season after season after season. Yes, somewhat feel like they're having to one-up themselves from the season before, but they all make sense somehow still, no matter what. And Sinclair adds depth to that whole thing. He doesn't actually become the one to make many of these decisions, but he is a rock that helps make sure that everyone gets through the whole everything. And his relationship with Raven is just so heartwarming. And I really like this character. Do I want to protect him at all costs? Not necessarily, but I do find him very interesting. Then we have Klaus Beaudelaire from the series of Unfortunate Events. Now, I just watched the campy version that was on Netflix recently. It had like 3 seasons, which, by the way, can we just appreciate how they took the vibes of the books and made them a movie? That was exactly what I was hoping for. Now, as a child, I used to think it was really grim and really dark, but there's also this like incredible sense of humor in the voice of the author. And I felt like the guy who played the narrator in this show was spectacular, and Klaus Beaudelaire is someone that I would actually protect at all costs. I love his character. He's so sweet. Is he an INTP? That's the vibe I was getting. Though on the internet, there's a lot of argument for ISTJ, which I could see, but I still think he's an INTP. Let's move on. Remember when I stated that there are some characters that never leave your mind, and no matter what you do, you can't stop thinking about them? One of those absolute gods is Elle from Death Note. I just rewatched Death Note this last month because it had been years since I last watched it, and I wanted to see, is this still the anime that I fell in love with? And, you know, I wanted to learn more about Light's character and his morality. Anyway, I digress. Elle is such a phenomenally written character. He's so annoying and punchable, but at the same time, he's so smart and thinks everything through, and the way that he looks up to Light but also hates Light, and their friendship slash eneminess is just so good. I cannot get enough. I literally have watched that anime like 10 times and it still got me. It still got me down in my core, and I love it. And I love Elle, and I think he's an absolute god. Then we have Luna Lovegood. If you have not seen, there was an INFP ranking video where I expressed that I do actually think she's an INTP. And there are solid arguments out there on the internet, so I'm not going to make my case right now. I don't really need to make my case. She's in this video because I do believe that she's an INTP, and I think that she is very interesting. I think that she is so sweet and just in her own la la land, which is why people think she's an INFP. She is one of my favorite characters from when I was reading it through. I wanted to be Luna Lovegood. I love that she just didn't care what anyone else thought. She would just like lose her shoes and she's like, oh, that's fine. It just is what it is. Then we have another absolute god, and that is Neo from The Matrix. Talk about a trilogy of movies that impregnated ideas into my mind that have not died. I cannot get rid of them, and they will continue to come out in my writing for the rest of my life. I will never not be influenced by The Matrix. It definitely influenced the book that I'm writing, while the book series, not exactly the same, but that movie series has impacted me as a human being. It has impacted the way that I view the world, and it has definitely left an impression on me. And Neo is a fascinating character to follow as he tries to make sense of this world and to make decisions in this world and act in the moment and do these things which are scary and frightening. But, you know, it really is just all about having mental control, because it doesn't matter about the physical. The physical is not real. It's about having your mental control. And so good, so good. If you don't like The Matrix, I don't know if we can be friends, honestly. Unless you hate it because you're trying to be contrarian because everyone loves The Matrix, in which case I understand that you might want to go against the grain, but going against the grain in this particular instance is wrong, all right? So just keep that in mind. If you ever try to approach me and you don't like The Matrix, I don't know. Moving on, we have Patrick Star. Patrick Star is what apparently 90% of the internet thinks is an INTP. I don't know. I don't know if he has enough of a personality to type him, but you know what? people think he's an INTP, so we're gonna put him in this ranking video. I don't know, I'm confused. I don't know where to put him because he's not really meh worthy. He's definitely not interesting. I wouldn't protect him at all costs because, to be honest, he'll just grow back his arm or whatever. And he's definitely not a god, so I don't know. But next we have someone who I have very solid, clear feelings upon, which, because I just finished the book recently, and there's a video you can watch if you want about me talking about why and how I love this character so much, but Piranesi is the sweetest INTP character in the world, and I just want to love him and hug him and protect him from the cold in the world and the cruel harshness, and he is 100% someone I would protect at any and all costs. Next is Samwell Tarley from the Game of Thrones. I almost said Hunger Games. Samwell Tarley from Game of Thrones is a character that every time you're in his point of view in the book, you just cannot get enough. He just wants to learn and understand the world, and he doesn't want to have to fight. He's not a fighter. But the thing is, he is good with his words, ironically. And he is good with his knowledge. He actually saves people's lives because of his knowledge. Is he a god? No. Is he anything other than someone I would protect at all costs? I love Samwell Tarley. Like, if we were in the same world, he would be under my wing constantly. Like, he needs someone to protect and love him and care for him. Yes, he will stand up and protect when he needs to, if he's not just like completely peeing himself or whatever, but I love him. Now we have to address the big old elephant in the room. What type is Sherlock? Well, Sherlock is portrayed in many different shows and movies, and he has all different kinds of personalities portrayed for him. So we must take those characters with a little grain of salt. What we can do is try to use his original self, Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I remember when my mom bought me these books, it was the greatest day of my life. I've always liked like mystery stories in general, but Sherlock Holmes takes mystery to another level. And I love his deductive reasoning, his ability to see what's going on. You might argue that he's an ISTP instead of an INTP, but who knows? In this particular instance, 99% of the internet does think indeed that he's an INTP, so we're gonna go with it. We're gonna pop him in God tier. Because who doesn't want to be Sherlock Holmes? Who doesn't want to be able to look at someone, see a mustard stain on their shirt, and know half of their life? Obviously everyone, that's why we watch Sherlock. Okay, anyway, going on to the last and final name on this list, which is Yoda. Yoda he is. Future self, please cut that out. Anyway, Yoda from Star Wars is probably the only character that I actually like. I never really liked Star Wars that much. My brother was super into Star Wars. Several of my friends have been really into Star Wars. I had a roommate who was so obsessed with Star Wars that the entire living room wall was covered in Star Wars stuff and Rick and Morty stuff. And he had an entire half of his body dedicated to Star Wars tattoos. I'm not that dedicated. Do I hate you? Anyone who likes Star Wars? No. It's just not my thing. It's never been my thing. Sorry, that's just how it is. I don't hate anyone for not liking it, but I don't like it. But I do like Yoda. If Yoda had a standalone film that was just about Yoda, I would watch the crap out of that. I love Yoda. I feel like he has a bunch of wisdom to pass on to us, and I want to learn his wisdom. And I think he's definitely a god. But I don't like Star Wars, but I still like Yoda. That's how much of an absolute god he is. Alas, my list is complete. What do you think of my list? What do you think of these INTP characters? Do you know INTP characters that were left out and we need to make a second INTP ranking video eventually? Because that would be a lot, but we could do it if we have to. But right now, I want to know what you think about my ranking. What would you rank them? Go ahead and click the link in the comment and/or description down below and rank these characters yourselves and post it to Twitter or Instagram and tag me so I can see. No one has done this yet and I want to see what other people think. Is that so hard? Is that so much to ask? I just want to know what you guys think. do it for me, please. And while you're down there, go ahead and click like and subscribe so that we can talk about more characters in fiction, and we can talk about more stories, and we can talk about more MBTI, because we're nerds around here, and being a nerd is fun. So go ahead and like and subscribe to support the nerddom, and let me know what you rank these guys, and I will see you guys next time. I hope that you have a beautiful, amazing, fantastic day. Bye!